Good afternoon. We are here with Steve Judge to kickstart your life with a bit of motivation. I have Steve Judge here, who is a phenomenal speaker. He is not just a speaker, he is the international motivational speaker. And Steve, when I was hosting with you an event, I really enjoyed that because you told me so much about yourself that I thought, we need to share it.
Yeah. It's really good. It was last Friday, wasn't it? It was at the North Knots Awards, Business Awards. That's a really good event. Really enjoyed it. Yeah. And we hadn't hosted together, so we did a bit of rehearsal before, and that was good fun. And then we actually did the whole thing, obviously on the Friday night live, of course. But it was really good, the feedback that we got. Lovely feedback, really natural, they said. And they said that we gelled well with each other.
Exactly, exactly.
Good synergy.
Absolutely.
So yes, I did tell you a few things about myself and my journey, but it's always difficult. I think when somebody asks me, when you're networking or when you're, talking to somebody, if somebody says, "Oh, so Steve, what do you do?" And I say, "Well, I'm a motivational speaker or a professional speaker," and they go, "Well, what do you speak about?" It's all about me. I speak about me. I speak about my journey. And so they obviously say, so what do you speak about? Tell me more. Well, that's my keynote. That's like 45 minutes. I'm just talking about me. So obviously, I understand they don't want to hear 45 minutes of me going on and on and on. So I have to somehow squeeze it down to, maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I just breeze over it, and I'm okay with that. But sometimes I just don't talk about it at all. And I know a few people that have known me for years, and they've said, "Steve, I never realised who you were or what you've done or what you've achieved or what adversity you've been through. You never told me." And I'm like, well, I didn't tell you because it wasn't the time or the place. We were just in the park with the kids or we were doing something else. I didn't want to I feel like it lumber all of this information on you at the time. So it is really nice that I've got a job where I can speak freely about what I've done and how I've got through things. And that's my job, is to, and it's still difficult just to get into 45 minutes. And we'll come on to that later. That's why I've written my book, which has got everything in. But 45 minutes is hard enough. But hopefully I can just share a little bit now in this video, this podcast.
Yes, let's do it, absolutely. So my first important question to you would be, what was that life-changing event in your life? That biggest, that life-changing thing? What made you who you are now? And the reason, as you think and reflect, why I don't know, I'm sure you know, but the reason why I ask, because as a life coach, I work with so many clients who come to me with so many different issues, of course, and problems. And they all think they have real issues, which I agree, yes, they all do. But I think hearing life-changing events which you have, which I'm aware of, but I wanted to share with the world, it's really phenomenal. And what you can do with yourself after you had something such dramatic happen in your life is really phenomenal. So what was your life-changing event which made you who you are now?
Okay, and I think one of the things that you talk about is the dots in your life and how you join them up and how they make you who you are.
Yeah.
And I think what I found is doing my autobiography, I think about what you said there a lot about the dots. There's various dots in my life that have made me who I am. But the life-changing one, the big one, the adversity that I had to deal with, happened in 2002. So I was driving on the outskirts of Sheffield, and it was on a Sunday afternoon, and it was a bit of rain on the ground, so the road was quite slippy. I didn't think anything of it, and just driving along the road, 40 miles an hour, and my car skidded, and it just lost control a little bit, and I felt the car went sideways, and I couldn't correct it. And there's nobody else on the road, there's nobody else in the car, and I just lost control. And as it turned sideways, it kind of veered towards one of the posts that's at the side of the road, and I just had to brace myself. I braced myself for impact, and as it skidded, it turned round, and it had a side impact on this post, and it bent the car in half and crashed. Now I blanked out at this time. I don't know if I got knocked unconscious or what, but when I came round, I don't know how many minutes had passed, but I was in the wreckage and I couldn't get out. I think the first thing you do when you've had something like a car crash or an accident, or even if you fall over, is if you try and pick yourself up, brush yourself down and move on. Hopefully nobody saw you, because it's very embarrassing. You're just like, oh, can I get away with this? So I tried to get out of the car, and I thought, damn, I can't get out of the car. And my legs were stuck, and I remember reaching down to find out how bad they were, and I couldn't quite reach, which was a good thing, because if I'd got below my knees, I would have felt probably the warm blood or just, you know, what's going on when it's not good. So I was stuck there, and there's also the car horn. The car horn was going off, just going beep, and I was like, it's driving me mad. And so I was just saying, I was screaming out for help, and eventually a dog walker came along, and they came over, and I think they went under the car and they unplugged the horn, which is great. So that stopped that, and then I just said, you know, call for an ambulance, and they said, yeah, it's on its way. And I just waited, and I think that's a horrible time when you're just waiting for action to take place. There were a few people, passerbys were there, but nobody was really helping me, which sounds quite nasty. They were doing their best, but I wanted some professionals there.
Yes.
And I remember when the paramedic turned up, and she gave me some recognition, and she gave me, just said, everything's going to be okay, and those are the words that you want to hear.
Yes.
Just think, right, okay, this is good. You're the right person for the job. And then I think it also helped that she gave me some drugs by a drip. Some morphine, so that probably made me feel good as well. Yeah, but words of encouragement, words of gratification, and then after her, then the police turned up, then the fire brigade, the ambulance, and all the emergency services were there. And the one thing they checking out the situation, they couldn't get me out of the car. I was well and truly stuck. And so I remember the fire brigade, they said, right, Mr. Judge, what we're going to do is we're going to have to cut the car apart piece by piece. So just brace yourself, there's going to be some noise, some vibration, and then they went off, used one of the hydraulic cutters, and I just stuck there and heard this, and they were braking the car, and they would come back and say, okay, Mr. Judge, we're getting closer, just bear with us. And I'm like, I can't move anywhere, I'm just going, okay.
I'm not running.
Yeah, just whatever it takes. And eventually they were able to reach me and pull me and my legs out of the car, and this took about an hour. This is not a quick thing. It took about an hour to cut me out and take me over to the nearby waiting ambulance.
Yes.
And they put me in the ambulance and then rigged me up with some more morphine, which is good. But they then shipped me off. They took me in the ambulance. They mercy dashed me to the nearest hospital. Now the nearest hospital was the Northern General Hospital in Sheffield. So as they went off to that, to be honest, I can remember the ambulance trip quite clearly, because the other two guys in it were called Steve and Steve.
Oh.
Yeah. so I remember, okay, are you right, Steve? I said, yeah, I'm good, Steve. So right, that's great, Steve. Right, Steve. We're going to go very fast, Steve. Okay, Steve? I said, yes, Steve, that's good, Steve. And very safely, Steve. Okay, Steve? Yes, Steve. That's good, Steve. Okay, so the two Steves took me to Northern General. I like Steves. Steves are good. They saved my life. They gave me lots of blood, gave me some more morphine, and they took me to the hospital and they got me ready for the operation, because I needed to be rushed into the emergency wards to get operated on. And before I went in, the surgeon, he looked at me up and down and he said, right, it's a bit of a mess, but we're gonna do the best that we can. We're going to see what we can do. He says, but your right leg is really badly damaged, and we may even have to amputate it.
No.
Yeah, no. I didn't know the surgeon. His name was Simon, and I remember just looking in his eyes and just saying, describing who I was and what I did and how I was fit and healthy and how committed I was, and I just said, please just do the best that you can. And with that, they took me off into the operating theatre and operated on me for about 8 hours.
8 hours? That's a long operation.
Yeah.
My lord.
So it's devastating, coming round after that. I just didn't know where I was. I was just just looking at the ceiling, and I just felt terrible. Really, really bad.
Wow. Well, I will definitely strongly agree. Speechless now. This is truly a life-changing event.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very shocking. So this is the first time when I hear a full story. Because what you told me before, had a car accident, broke my legs, and then overcome the challenges. Like, oh, that sounds inspirational, really good. But what you told me now, it is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When you're lying there, the surgeon comes in and he's asking me how I am, how I feel, and I just felt terrible. I felt really groggy. I felt in pain. I've been in a road traffic accident, so my shoulders are hurting. My whole body's hurting. I've been operated on, which is a horrible feeling. I've been out for the count and someone's been doing stuff to me to make me better, and that's a horrific feeling to have. But, he said, how you feel? I said, terrible. He says, well, I just want you to know, Mr. Judge, that we did the best that we could, and we saved both of your legs, But you've got to understand, with the severity of the injuries that you've sustained, you may never walk again.
And these are very shocking news. Imagine you just live your normal life and you do whatever, you do your job, you have a family, have kids, and then one day you're told you may never walk again.
Yeah.
If anything like that.
It's horrible, and I think when somebody gives you information like that, and it might not be to do with your health, it might be something academic, it might be something to do with your family, with your loved ones, but when you get devastating news like that, when you get such an adversity that hits you, you're talking about a life-changing situation, and everybody's got them in their lives, you know, some bigger, some worse, it's very hard to compare. But when you get something like that, when I got that said to me, there were two ways that I looked at it, and that was very much a fight or flight. I think the flight is very much, I could have just rolled over in bed and just given in and gone, okay,
yeah.
I guess I'll never walk again. You know, that's really bad or worse. But the opposite is how I felt. I just felt really angry. I felt really furious that somebody had the audacity to say that to me. Somebody said to me that I may never walk again. He didn't even know who I was. You know, I remember lying there, just looking up at him, thinking, who the hell are you? Who the hell are you to tell me that I may never walk again? I mean, his name wasn't even Steve, because I like Steve. You know, if his name was Steve, it might have been a bit better. But he wasn't. His name was Simon.
Yeah.
I was thinking, you know, who are you to say those words to me? And that I just felt like, I'm going to prove you wrong. You know, I didn't have the energy or the power to do it right there. I was literally surviving for my life. But I thought, right, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to get some energy. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get my legs better. And I'm going to stand again. I'm going to walk again. And I think that ignited a little bit, or it kept the fire going. Because I think giving in, you extinguish the fire. And I think if you've just got that flame that's just still glowing, just ever so slightly, then that's all you need. And just keep it glowing.
Yeah.
You can build it up later. You can put more fuel on the fire. Just keep it glowing. Whatever you do, don't blow that candle out. And I think that was the main thing, that I didn't want to blow the candle out. I just wanted to just stay burning just for a little bit longer. I'll get back to you later, kind of thing. And that's what I wanted to do. That's what I needed to do. That was my need. That was my goal. And I think at that point, that's my first goal, was to survive.
Yeah.
I need to do this.
I love that. I really love how you just mentioned that. You just keep that little fire just glowing all the time. Just adding some fuel into that constantly.
Yeah.
Really love that. So would you say there is something, what was motivating you during that hard moment and now? Is it the same thing? What was actually motivating you and keeping you going? Because as you know, probably some people really struggle with motivation.
Yeah.
Some people say, I just have lack of motivation, I can't motivate myself, I can't push myself hard enough. So with your story, you're probably thinking, Jesus, get a grip. So what was your motivation back then, and what is your motivation now? Is it the same?
Yeah, I think the theory is the same. So I talk about goal setting because I've clearly set goals in my life and I've worked towards them, and I still continue to do so as an international speaker. I'm always setting goals, and my main thing is to find the right goal. If you find the right goal, that thing that really gets you going, that thing that makes you a little bit nervous, a little bit apprehensive, but also excited, but all of those things, a goal that makes you smile. You know, when you visualize it, when you think about it, it makes you smile and think, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if. That's the goal, that thing that gets that glow inside you going. If you can find out what that is, that's what will drive you. Now, everybody's different, so you can't tell people what their goal should be. And I know parents try to do that with their kids, and bosses try to do that with their work colleagues and everything like that. It doesn't really work. You can falsify it a little bit, but that won't get you out of bed at like 5 o'clock in the morning. That won't push you late at night. That won't push you in a training session, whether it's academics or fitness or anything like that. It's got to be something that really drives you, and only you can decide what that is. Now, I feel that health is a massive one. So that my goal setting started me in hospital, survival of my life. That was very much what it was. My goals were to eat more food. When I tried to eat food, I was eating about 3 mouthfuls, and then I couldn't eat anymore because I had no energy. So, eat more. I knew I needed energy, and I needed to get it in my body. After that, it was about doing physio, it was doing about rehabilitation, it was about all the things that I needed to do. How that affects me now? Yeah, I'm finding out what my goal, what do I really want to do as an international speaker? I want to help people, inspire others, I want to motivate many. How do I do that? And when I think when you're a business owner, like you probably find this yourself, Olga, is that you can allow yourself to be creative.
Yes.
And it's amazing. And sometimes it's bad because you get too many ideas, great ideas, you can't do them all, and then you feel low that you can't do them all, you have to concentrate on something. But still, you've got some creativity there of how you can do your business to the best way possible.
Yes.
And that's a real buzz. And so I wake up in the morning now and I think, right, what am I going to do today? And I try to think of 5 things. I think, I really want to do this, I've got to do that, and I really want to do this. But those things that I really give me a buzz, get me out of bed in the morning. And then I have a routine. I think routine is very important because it can really pull you through. You just get into the routine. I think people know about these with habits. So we all clean our teeth like twice a day or whatever. We don't necessarily like doing that because it's a bit boring, but we just do it. It's a habit. We just get on with it. So my habit is I get out of bed and I read a bit of a personal development book, something to better myself. I then do some exercises to wake myself up a little bit. I then do some visualization. So visualization of what I want to achieve in my business, in myself, for my family, for my loved ones. What do I want to do? How do I vision myself in 5 years' time, 10 years' time? And I do a lot of visualization. So the more you do it, the better you get, and you feel like you're there actually in the moment. And you only do it for maybe 5-10 minutes, but when I open my eyes, I'm like, wow, that was awesome, that was amazing. I was just literally there, and you want to be there again. So once you've got that buzz, that positivity, I then sit down and I give myself words of affirmation. So I've got a list of words of affirmation. Steve, you've got this. You are incredible. You are ingenious. You won't lean on your excuses. All these. It sounds cringeworthy. I know it does, but it helps. And I'm not announcing it to the world. I'm just saying it to myself because that's what I need. Then I get a pad and a paper, a pen and paper, and I write down 5 things that will take me towards my goal. Yeah, just 5 things. That's not emails or phone calls. That's not like VAT or invoices. That's kind of boring stuff. What about the things that I really take towards my goal, the buzz things? I write those down, and that takes me to about an hour into that, and then the kids might wake up, and the whole house gets turned upside down, and I have to deal with the kids and send them off to school, and that's great. But when I sit down at my desk, and the phone is ringing, and the email's pinging, I can look at those 5 things. I think those 5 things will take me towards my goal. I know I've got all this other stuff to do, but if I want to achieve my goal, that's what I've got to do. And you can tie that into habits and eating frogs, doing the big thing that you've got to do first. Look at those 5 things. And sometimes, I don't get all those 5 things done in the day. And sometimes I do. But I always ask myself at the end of the day, as my head hits the pillow, have I got any regrets? I think that's a big message that I give out, is the no regrets. And again, you can only answer this yourself. So I say to myself, look, I didn't do all those 5 things. Any regrets? And I go, no. I didn't do those 2 really important things because I was playing with my kids more, or because a really urgent job came in which I had to email back. No regrets. However, if I've said, well, I slacked off, I was on social media doing some work, and then I digressed and I just got sucked into it, I regret that. I shouldn't have done that. I'm an idiot. So that's bad. What can I do next time to make sure that doesn't happen? So it's a self-reflection. I'm not perfect. We're talking about perfect in the PSA meeting today. About it's not necessarily being perfect, it's that striving to be continuous improvement. And I think that's a really good example. But yeah, my message is very much about having any regrets in the day. And when you have no regrets, when your head hits the pillow and you've got no regrets, and you're a little bit exhausted, it's like, yes, what a good day. I love that day. And that sets you up ready for the next day. So it's really good.
Beautiful. I absolutely love what you just shared. And actually what you just share with the audience, what you do every day, is something what all successful people are doing. So it's not a surprise, you are successful and you are who you are. Right? So but there's a lot of work. As you were mentioning, yes, just 5 things. But you got to do them every day. Yes, and yes, of course you can compromise and have some family time and support, and you need to have your own time. But social media, all these 5 things. Yeah, that's priorities. And this makes you who you are. But you see, this would lead me to the next question. I know how successful you are. You're all over the places. Absolutely, so popular and so famous. Do you enjoy what you do?
Absolutely, yes. It's the best job. I can't say in the world, because that's my opinion, but it's the best job I've had. So I've had lots of jobs. When I left, being an engineer, building up the machines, making them work, being ingenious to repair them. I've worked around the world, serving drinks in bars and fruit picking. Seriously, I've worked in the laboratory in quality. I've worked in construction as a health and safety inspector. And I worked for the Scout Association in the media team, so interviewing people like the Duchess and Bear Grylls and flying in helicopters and things like that. That was awesome. That was like one of the best jobs. now. So when that finished, it was really funny. When my contract finished after 3 years, a really good job, and people said, "Well, Steve, your contract's finished. You know, what are you going to do next?"
What's next?
And I was like, "I am going to be a motivational speaker." And they're like, "Wow, Steve, that's amazing. How are you going to do that?" And I said, "I have not a clue." but I knew by that stage, I knew that if I had a goal, if there's something that I really wanted, I'd find a way of achieving it. I'd visualise it. I'd done some speaking gigs, of course I had, a few, and I knew that I liked it. I didn't know how I was going to make that into getting income. But, you know, I started asking around, and, you know, I found this thing called the PSA, Professional Speakers Association. I went there for my first meeting, and they said, you know, "Welcome aboard, Steve, and, you know, if you do join, if you decide to join the PSA, you can enter a competition." And I'm like, "Oh, I love competitions. Tell me more." So they said, "It's a speaking competition." I said, "That sounds great." And it's all about speaker factor. And by entering that, it was a massive learning curve about putting myself on the stage, speaking in front of other speakers, taking their feedback on board and using it, taking action. And I learned so much in my first year, which I then propelled me, said, "I definitely want this as a job, as an income," and I just went onwards and onwards and onwards. And it's been like 2.5 years now, and it's going great. And I'm always thinking about continuous improvement, how I can be a better speaker, how I can speak more, but why? I think that it's about finding out what your why, as Simon Sinek would say, you know, what is your why? And it's very important to find out what that is, and mine is to help inspire and motivate. I know what it's like. So you ask a lot of people, how's life, how's things going? They say, "Oh, yeah, it's okay," or "It's fine, it's okay." And you think, "Oh, that's lovely." And it is okay. You can go through life with things being okay. But I've had that experience where my life has been better than that. It's been awesome. You know, not just growing my leg back, but, you know, when I got into a Paratriathlon, getting into the sport there, becoming a world champion, just like massive, it was better than okay, better than fine. It was awesome. And I want other people to experience that fulfillment, that happiness of having an awesome life. And that is different for everybody. So if I can do something, if I can inspire, motivate other people to find out what their goal is, what their goal is, what they really want, and then help them to achieve that, that makes me really happy. So that's what I want to do. How do I do that? By speaking. And speaking to 20 people, 200 people, 200,000 people, it's the same message. Just get them all in a room and I will speak. I will just talk about myself. I talk about what I've done, but it will resonate with them. I want them to adapt what I say, adopt what I say, and use it. Go ahead and find out what their goal is and work towards it, because then their life will be awesome. And that will give me my fulfillment. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, I can definitely relate to that, because as I work with my clients every day, it's about making that transformation, making that thing what they want possible.
Yes.
Whether it is changing career, maybe it is find the one, maybe it is about building a business, maybe it's about anything, really anything. But every day when you see clients, and they come to me and we discuss the problems, the issue what they're facing, and what they want, it's just building them. Really, so I really can relate to what you're saying. It's that satisfaction what you're getting.
Oh, yeah.
And the favorite part, which I also like, because I'm also a speaker, is when you share it with the audience.
Yeah.
When you have that audience in front of you and you tell them what they can do, when you actually tell your story and you share it and you inspire them to be moved and shifted, I think this is the best job ever. The best job ever. But have you ever thought, would you do anything else if you could? It's not this.
As in a job? I don't think so at the moment. So the only hesitation there is because I think it's always a good thing to be flexible.
Yes.
So it's very good to have goals, and I'm setting my goals, and I love doing what I'm doing. But I'm very much about seizing opportunities. So by all means so this takes me back to a little story in Australia when I was travelling around the world. So I was working down the coal pits, and you might have heard they shut, so I got made redundant. I used my money to buy a round the world ticket. I ended up in Australia, in Brisbane, landed in Brisbane, Australia. I was selling books door to door, then eventually ended up in Western Australia in a place called Halls Creek. The floods came down, we got stranded. I was stuck in a hostel with this Japanese guy, and I helped him to speak English for 2 days. And when he left, he gave me a gift, and he gave me this thing that I wear around my neck. This is called, it's a 5 yen coin from Japan, and it's called a Goen, and Goen stands for good karma. So he gave it to me, and he said, I give you this to you, Steve, as a thank you gift, but there's more to it than that. It will bring you good luck, but only only if you are aware of your vision and you seize opportunities. So I said, okay. And the next day I went on a trek in the outback, and I was looking for this big wall, and I eventually found it. And I remember standing on this wall and reaching in my pocket and feeling the go, and I thought, yeah, you know, be aware of my vision and seize opportunities. Now fast forward to 2009, I found this coin in the loft. I didn't have it around my neck, it was in the loft, and I got it out. I remembered the story, and I put it around my neck in 2009. More than that, the story goes that if you give it out, you get good karma as well as keeping it. So I got some off the internet, and I gave them out to my family and friends in 2009. 2009 is when I started competing as a disabled athlete following my injuries, and I started Paratriathlon, swimming, cycling and running. Not easy, a lot of training, but to cut a long story short, you know, I worked towards my vision of winning the race, which I did. I became British champion. When I crossed the finish line, they offered me the opportunity of representing Great Britain. Exactly, and I grabbed that. And it was very hard, very hard. I had a full-time job working in health and safety. I had a family with 2 kids, and I wanted to do an elite sport, swimming, cycling and running. It was not easy, and I had to find a way of how to do it, because I saw that as an amazing opportunity. I didn't want to let it go. So much I had these visions, and you know, I won't go on about being an elite athlete, because that brings it back to present day. What's my vision at the moment? My vision is to be, you know, a world-class speaker, to speak to massive audiences so that I get my messages out there. That is my vision, and I'm grabbing opportunities along the way to speak to audiences. However, if a different opportunity came up, and I don't know what, because if I knew what, then you know, then I'd be able to talk about it. I don't know. That comes to your question is, would you do anything differently? I don't know. At the moment, I'm extremely happy with what I'm doing. But if an amazing opportunity came up or something different, I would have to consider it. Because I think, you know, there's so much that you can do in life, and there's so many things that people don't do in life, because they stay in their little bubble. And I don't want to do that. I want to see the bigger picture. And I think sometimes we get blinded to the things that are around us, unless you're more aware of what opportunities there are. And it's very much about opening up to your subconscious. Yeah. So my subconscious is very much focused on being a speaker, so I don't really see anything else. So, and I'm fine with that. But if the opportunity came, I'd like to think that I would see that and go with it. So who knows is the answer. But at the moment, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing.
That's beautiful to hear, really beautiful to hear. And I like what you say there, that you enjoy your passion for speaking, you enjoy motivating audiences, you love what you do.
Yeah.
But if opportunity comes, and this is what many people don't recognize, that just searching for that opportunity, just looking out and expecting, almost like knowing it will come, that's a big thing. Many people don't realize opportunities are out there, but I have to just switch my radar to that and really wait for them. Yeah, that's really powerful what you mentioned there.
Yeah, and it depends. If you do want to find something different, then you can push yourself. So you can either wait for opportunities, which is a lot of people, that's what they do, or you can make the opportunities.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Because if making the opportunities is scary, I think it's pushing yourself out of the comfort zone. It's like, say you can do something when you can't really do it yet. So my first goal setting workshop, I had this idea I could do a goal setting workshop. So when somebody, I can do that. Oh, it shouldn't be too hard. So when somebody said, you know, do you do goal setting workshops? I said, yes, I do. Of course I do. Would you like me to do one for you? And they said, yes. Can you do it in May? I said, I can do it in May. And I was very confident and optimistic. And when they left, I was like, right, I need to get a workshop together. I need to get a booklet. I need to get ideas. It's all in my head. And they thought that I had it all prepared. They thought I'd done workshops before. You've got to do your first workshop at some point. And yeah, it's a bit of a lie, but it's what I needed to push myself out. And I prepared, and the workshop was so successful that they booked me for a few more after that, and I've done other workshops since then. But I made that opportunity happen. If I'd said, no, I don't do workshops at the moment, they would have gone, oh, well, never mind. Boom, end of. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you've got to, sometimes you've got to push yourself out. You've got to make those opportunities. You've got to say that you can do things, even though you can't. Because sometimes you need that push to make you do them. And that's not easy.
It's not easy at all, but as people say, fake it until you make it.
Yes.
Because
yeah.
if you don't, then would you ever start doing workshops if you didn't have to? No, because you had to. You had to sit down, prepare material, think about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And if not that, you would never probably do that.
Yeah.
Because have you done any? No, not yet.
Yeah.
And then you will never step in. So therefore, if you are ever doubting yourself, just do it.
Yeah, no, I say that
Just
about
do it.
people want advice on how to become a speaker. And I say the first thing you do is tell people that you are a speaker. If you don't tell anybody, nobody's going to know that you're a speaker or even book you, of course. And so, not only just tell people, have you got a website, have you got a Facebook that says you are a speaker? Have you got a business card that says you are a speaker? All of these simple things, and then when somebody says, oh, can you speak, in 2 months' time, you say yes. Yes.
You just say yes.
Not a problem. And then you start working out. Now, of course, you could work out what your keynote is before you've done the business card and everything like that. But you might struggle. I only say that because generally most people do, because they've got no goal. It comes right back to what is your goal. Yeah. And once you've got the goal, once you've got a date, once you've got something specific, the SMART goals, then you can start working towards it. If you say, I want to talk sometime in the future, and I'm going to design a keynote for this sometime in the future, it probably won't happen, because it's sometime in the future. When somebody says, can you speak in 2 months' time, even 2 weeks' time, you'll go, yes, and then you've got a goal, you start working towards it. So yes, say that you can do these things, fake it till you make it,
yes.
and then go for it.
I love that, I love it. And the favorite thing about sometime, for me, is, let's book it. People go, what do you mean? I'm like, well, sometime, let's just get in a diary, sometime. When is your sometime? When is this someday? Some year? When is this sometime? Then people go,
yeah, no, you did that with me, with that one-to-one. I said, yeah, we'll do a one-to-one sometime. And you went, okay, get your phone out, let's do it now. I was like, what now? But it's true, you're just booking a date. And I think that's the thing, it can be next week, it can be in 2 months' time. Yes. Still, just book it in, just book something in. For crying out loud, do something. Craig Collinson, president of PSA Yorkshire, we've been meaning to have a one-to-one for about 2 years now. We still haven't had it yet. I know. And he said, we must have it. I said, yes, we'll do it sometime. And he's gone now. He's gone. We will have it sometime. But I should have said, let's get our phones out. Let's what do you look like in May, June, July? When is this sometime?
This year? Next year?
Yeah, exactly.
At least, yeah.
Because if we'd done that 2 years ago, we probably would have had it by now. But instead, we just kept on saying sometime. So,
exactly.
So I'm not perfect. I think that's the other thing. We're talking about authenticity today as a speaker.
Yes.
I think it's so important, not only to yourself, to other speakers, but also on the stage. And if that means laughing at yourself, great, that's humour. But also, I'm very conscious that I'm a speaker that talks about myself all the time. I don't think it's good to tell the audience, speak to the audience, and tell them what to do. I feel that if you tell people what to do, they rebel. Like kids, they go, don't tell me what to do.
Who are you?
Yeah, who are you to tell me that I should be motivated? No, I'll just talk about myself. I'm pretty sure it will inspire you, it will motivate you, but only you can decide. If it doesn't, fine, but I'm sure the other people will. So I just talk about myself. The messages are to myself. My autobiography, I've got to be careful that I'm not giving out messages all the time. It's not a self-help book, it's an autobiography about me. I really want to do a self-help book, and when I do that, it will totally be about the reader. You should do this, you should. I don't know if that's kind of the person that I am, because I know some speakers that do that, and they are very successful. Of course they are, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. And I don't know if I'm that kind of speaker. There are some speakers that swear, I don't swear. There are some speakers that shout, I don't really shout, I engage and everything. So every speaker is different, and you've got to work out who you are and your authenticity.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah, that's very, very important. The bit which you just said real briefly in your last answer. Tell me more about the book.
Oh, okay. So the book. So I've been working this. So I think what's interesting is when I was an engineer, when I was working construction, all the people around you, nobody had written a book. And you end up being an average of the 5 people that you spend most of your time with. So when I became a speaker and mingling out with speakers, other speakers, a lot of them say, talking about their book that they've written. And then you talk about your story, they go, wow, what an amazing story, Steve. Have you got a book? Like, no, I haven't got a book. So you get these, you get all these messages, you think, maybe I should write my book. And so, yes, I talked about it for a lot of time. We talked about Speaker Factor. That's what I was talking about on Speaker Factor, was my procrastination of not writing my book. So, eventually, so not last year, so that's 2017, I started writing my book, my autobiography, typing it up. And after 2 months of just typing up some stories, I suddenly realised that I had absolutely no idea or clue what I was doing. Because a lot of people say, because everybody's different, they say, oh, it's dead easy. You just type it, then you can upload it to Amazon, you can do a spell checker, grammar checker, and then is it just self-publish, bish bash bosh, it's done. So I thought, okay, bish bash bosh. So I did it, and I got to a stage I thought, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm way out of my comfort zone.
Wow.
And I've learned that when you're working towards your goal, at some point you need to ask for help. You need a team around you, and so I did that. I went onto Facebook and I said, look, are there any people that help people write books? I don't know what they're called. Are they called a book coach? And yes, there are. There's coaches for everything. So got in touch with the book coach, and then I met up with them, and that's at the start of 2018. So 2018, I had 2 book coaches, to be honest, and they helped me all the way through 2018. Actually, kind of accountability. I was very much set on my goals, using everything that I'd used my rehabilitation as an elite athlete, now writing my book. It did mean that there were consequences. I saw the blue sky through the window, but I just kept on my keyboard, just tapping away, because that was my goal. Sitting on my arse, typing, getting all the stories out, and remembering all the stuff. Looking at photos, looking at bank account details to remind myself what was happening in that week, that month, years ago. And yeah, it was emotional. There were tears on the keyboard, and once I'd finished crying, I then had to type up not only what happened, but how I felt, because I want people to understand that. So going through all of that, I've now got to the stage where the book is complete, which is great. It's just been through the design element, which is the front cover, what it looks like inside, the copy editing, which is the spelling, the grammar, so that somebody's got checked all that. It's going to be finished on Monday. It will go over to the proofreader. Ooh. So another person, big team. So the proofreader will read it from start to finish with fresh eyes, and they will just give some comments. I'm expected to read through it as well. I've read through it probably about 10 times, so I'll just read through it again. I shouldn't cringe. I said, it's an amazing book, it's really good, but 10 times it gets a bit wearing. And I think what's hard for me is that every time I read it, because that's how the brain works, you remember more. You remember more feelings, more detail, and I want to change it. I want to improve it. I want continuous improvement. Yes. And I'm saying, Steve, enough. Stop changing it. Stop editing it. It's fine. It is how it is right now. If you want to do something different, do it next year or the year after. But how it is how it is. Let's just leave it like that. So, yes, it's going through that stage, and then it's going to be released in July, 1st of July. That is the expected release date. So that's my autobiography. That was my big goal, still is my big goal, and when that's complete, that'll be job done.
That's exciting news. So 1st of July, you'll have your book.
Yes.
It's going to be on Amazon, it's going to be online.
So yeah, so I should get the link on Amazon probably about 2 weeks before. So as soon as I get that, I'm going to post it out on social media. I'm going to connect everybody that's on my newsletter. You can sign up for that through my website, so that I've got your contact details, so that I can contact you when my book comes out. But yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I'm going to be an author, so I think that's just amazing. I'm really excited about that. 2 times world champion, international speaker, and author. I just think, and the question that a lot of people ask me is, what's next? And that's the last question in the book. It's like, my goal was to write my book. I've clearly done that, because it's the end of the book. What's next? ... Maybe a film. Because it's an amazing story, and I think it could make a good film. I haven't even looked into that, and I know there's a massive cost element on films, and also interest. Is there enough interest? I think there is. A lot of other people think there is as well. It may be way, way, way down the line, but let's not rule it out. And that's talking about opportunities. If somebody came up to me and said, look, I've just read your book, we'd love to make it into a film, I think that would be an opportunity, and that's something that I would grab. So you never say never, and we'll just have to see how it goes. But first of all, let's do the book, let's get the book out there, and I'm really excited about it.
That's very true. I love that, what you just said there. If there's an opportunity to make a film, you would make a film.
Yeah.
So can I keep accountable you on that? In the next 5 years to make a film, and then you just outsource for an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know whether you do that, low budget, high budget, Hollywood, or whether you just somebody wants to make a documentary film about it. I don't exactly know what it means, because that's not my goal at the moment. I think it's very important not to digress too much. My focus is my focus, and I'm looking out for opportunities all the time, but it's also make sure you don't digress too much. Because if you digress, then you never finish what you started. Get the book out. I want to inspire, I want to talk, I love talking, that's my buzz at the moment. So I want to do that more, and I've got to think about income as well. So
Absolutely.
this is a business. So I'm looking for gigs that can pay me so that I can keep going. Otherwise, if I just burn out, then I'm going to have to go back to construction or something like that.
I'm sure you won't. No, it's too inspirational for that.
Well, yeah, it's difficult because I call it a proper job. I don't call this a proper job. I call like all the other ones a proper job. And I would struggle. I think
As a stigma. As a stigma. What is a proper job where you work 9 to 5 and you get paid once a month or maybe every 2 weeks, whatever else.
Yeah.
But I must tell you, you need to buy a book when it comes out on 1st of July, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you need to buy a book. But if you are a filmmaker and if you want to create a fantastic and phenomenal movie about Steve, contact Steve. But how we can do that? How?
So yeah, you can contact me on my website, steve-judge.co.uk. I'm on social media loads, so Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, just type in Steve Judge. Instagram is Scout Judge. There's a big story of scouting in my background. I'd love to talk about that more in the next podcast maybe. But yeah, there's various ways. And then my email address, which is i.nspire, that's N-S-P-I-R-E, at steve-judge.co.uk, so many ways.
Fantastic. Well, we'll make sure that we definitely mention all these contact details at the very bottom of the podcast post and also under the video, so people can contact you if they need to. Right. Well, thank you so much, Steve. That was a phenomenal session with you, and I'm really emotional about everything what you achieved, what you've done, and especially what you overcome. I'm really grateful, and I'm sure everybody who will watch this or listen to this will be definitely inspired. And what I'll be really grateful if people who are in similar situation to you, who want to achieve something or they're overcoming some challenges, just listen to this again and again. Listen to this and just get inspired and listen to these golden nudges which are there about do those 5 inspirational things in the morning. This is your meditation, this is your affirmation, this is your visualization.
This is what works for me. I read the book Miracle Morning. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's a great book. And they've got their own version of a miracle morning for them. I read it and I adapted it and adopted it to what works for me. What works for you? But try lots of different things, and eventually you'll settle down with something that it might just be 2 things, might just be 3 things. But find out what works. Try everything first and get into a habit. I don't like telling people what to do, but it's so good. And when I say habit is something when you do 21 times. When you start a new habit, you've got to do it 21 times, then it's a habit. So that means, say you're doing it over days, so do it for 21 days, and if you break that habit, after 16 days you have to go right back to the start and start all over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything more than 21 days, I think it's 90 days, it's a lifestyle. So there you go, look at that, that's the golden nugget, so let's go for a lifestyle. But yeah, habits are so important. Find out what those habits are that you want to start. Maybe think about some habits that you might want to lose as well, some bad habits. But we can talk about that some other time.
Yes, I think we'll definitely have another session. Well, thank you so much, Steve. It was a great pleasure to have you here, and I'm sure everybody will be delighted to hear all what you said. And the most important thing to learn from you, the most inspirational person I met so far, who is an international speaker, upcoming author. I can't wait for you to be also an actor.
Well, I might have to get an actor involved, I don't know, I might be behind the camera, I'm not too sure. Tom Cruise is a possibility, but it's quite short, I'm quite tall.
He's quite short,
not too sure, but we'll have to do some screen tests maybe on that.
Yes, we'll do that. Well, thank you so much for listening to all of this, and I'm sure that one day we'll make another video again.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
No problem.